I am Dinesh Panwar. So at Urbanscape, we try and not define any architectural language for our projects as instinctive as possible. We don't design to satisfy our own ego of being a designer, but for the larger interest of the environment, for the society, for the people who are using that building. So the initial client's brief was pretty simple in nature, as in he wanted commercial building. The floors would be rented out, mostly designers, because the street already boasts of a lot of fashion designers, people who are into a luxury segment in terms of furniture, tiles and all that stuff. So he wanted a very opulent sort of a building. So the site is on the main Defense Colony commercial road, which faces the metro station. And the biggest challenge that we faced was that there was a vibration in the building, the structure of the building. Metro used to start, or it used to stop. Structurally, we felt that we have to be a little careful about designing the building. So the initial concept of the building was pretty radical, as in terms of the material we plan to use, the language of the building. But then somehow after a couple of meetings with the prospective tenants, the client realized that the building must appeal to designer as well as a jeweler equally. So we cannot just cater to the designer segment, or somebody from a more conventional sort of a background can also be a prospective client. There were a couple of challenges we faced in terms of the bylaws, as in there was no projection allowed. We were only given 2 feet of FAR free space. There were no balconies allowed, there were no double light areas allowed, as in you would be charged for the FAR. So a cutout would not be considered as a cutout. Considering the nature of building, clients that we can get, and the location of the building, we realized that the building must not be fragmented a lot, but it must have that repetitive feel to it, like a lot of these colonial old charm the buildings used to have. So we thought of having a very repetitive sort of facade, yet we wanted to make it really articulate. The material palette was really important. The initial thought was to do the entire building in stone. The stone thickness as well as its weight would have a lot of challenge in terms of costing as well as weight on the building. So we started working on alternate materials, experimenting with a lot of paint finishes, slicing stones, minimum possible thickness, and thought of still doing it with stone. But then came across this lovely material which could serve the purpose, which we thought would not be a compromise in terms of the concept. So the best part of the building as we see it now is when you walk through that street, which is already flooded with a lot of designer boutiques, too many buildings with all sort of facades. This building gives you a break. I've heard a lot of positive comments about the building because of the simplicity that we could achieve with this complex process of execution and the material palette that it reflects.